Here are the top stories for today, September 21, 2021. Investigation is currently underway on the alleged false positive COVID-19 results of the Philippine Red Cross. Health experts reiterate the effectiveness of COVID-19 vaccines regardless of their brand. Children aged 12 to 17 years old are now included in the master list for COVID-19 vaccination rollout in Central Visayas. And the search is on for aspiring youth comic artists in Cebu. Good day, I am William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. President Rodrigo Duterte asked the Department of Health to investigate the complaints of false positives results of COVID-19 tests conducted by the Philippine Red Cross. The details from Marita Muahe.
President Rodrigo Duterte, during his talk to the people, said he received reports that there are false positive results in the swab testing process in various molecular laboratories of PRC headed by Senator Richard Gordon. The president said he was informed that 44 out of 49 total hospital personnel who tested positive in the swab tests turned false positives after they were retested in another facility. About 213 personnel of the Presidential Security Group also tested positive in the processing of the PRC Manila but were tested negative in their confirmatory tests. Even officials of the Department of Finance said they have experienced similar things from the PRC.
Are your testing facilities and equipment really as good as you say they are? Because I have heard of many false positive cases from your laboratories. Can you enlighten the Filipino people on this? Because of this information is accurate, then maybe the DOH must investigate this matter. You could be putting more people at risk. You could be falsely adding to the total positive cases per day of this country.
President Duterte also wants to see transparency from Senator Richard Gordon's handling of the PRC. He reiterates that there is a legal basis to request the Commission on Audit to look into the financial records of the Philippine Red Cross. The President has already instructed the Solicitor General to write to COA Chairman Michael Aguinaldo requesting to conduct an audit over PRC's financial status.
Tumong transparency sa mga transaction, kaya you're dwelling on formally. In the same manner, we would like also to see if there is transparency in the Red Cross under you, and you yourself in connection with the Red Cross functions. Again, we are not attacking the Philippine Red Cross. We would just like to know if the resources that the government has given to it is well managed.
During yesterday's House hearing on good government and public accountability, Deputy Speaker Rodante Marcoleta said 44 hospital personnel who initially tested positive in the PRC swab test yielded negative results after their confirmatory tests in a different laboratory. Health Secretary Francisco Duque said they are currently investigating the incidents in Subic.
But I do confirm that there is that complaint which is being investigated now by the lab network headed by under Assistant Secretary Nestor Santiago, whom I believe has already relayed to the RITM to do an evaluation or an assessment of this complaint.
For the PNA Newsroom, I am Marita Muahe.
Health Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergara said COVID-19 cases in the country may continue to increase in the next week due to the higher transmissibility of the Delta coronavirus variant and active case findings. In an online media forum, Vergera said the top 5 regions with the most number of new cases are the National Capital Region, Calabarzon, Central Luzon, Davao Region, and Ilocos Region.
Looking at our epidemic curve, we see a new peak every week since the start of August. The average of cases in the recent week is twice as much as the average of cases in the peak we saw last April. Now, we also see in the National Capital Region, our case data show that cases in NCR continued to increase, but at a slower rate. This is evidenced by the positive growth rates over the past month. As of September 19, our 2-week growth rate was 17%, lower but still positive versus the 2-week growth rate 3 to 4 weeks ago at 32%.
The pilot implementation of the face-to-face classes in the country will start as soon as the schools are ready. This is announced by Secretary Leonor Briones, noting that at least 100 public schools and 20 private schools will participate in the dry run. In Sagada Mountain Province, the school board and parents are seeking inclusion in the pilot test run due to poor internet connectivity and cell phone signal in the area. Mayor James Puuten said the residents want that all schools in the municipality to be included in the face-to-face classes, as all schools in the town are located in far-flung areas. He said the parent-teachers associations assured that no outsiders can enter the villages and will continue to maintain their border checkpoints and triage area. Meanwhile, the Department of Education in Central Visayas has identified 52 schools for the pilot implementation of face-to-face classes. The regional office also proposed 2-day-per-week classes where 30 students will be divided into 2 groups, with the first coming to the classroom on Mondays and Tuesdays and the second group on Thursdays and Fridays. Wednesdays would be a no-class and preparation day for teachers. Under the guidelines mentioned by Secretary Briones, only 12 to 15 learners will be allowed to stay in school for up to a maximum of 4 hours. The country has so far received the highest weekly delivery this month. The latest vaccine deliveries are being delivered to the regions and provinces across the country as part of the government's efforts to fully vaccinate the Filipino people. The latest data from the National Task Force Against COVID-19 shows that a total of 9,586,270 doses arrived in the country from September 13 to 19. Of the shipments, 6,171,590 million doses arrived over the weekend. The country has so far received 64,942,000 vaccine doses since February. National Task Force Against COVID-19 Chief Implementer and Vaccine Czar Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. said this is a testament of our collective effort in securing the much-needed doses for our people. All COVID-19 vaccines work. This is reiterated by National Task Force on COVID-19 Special Advisor Dr. Ted Herbosa and molecular biologist Father Nick Austriaco as they urge the public to take whatever vaccines are available in their areas.
Kaya po bumababa, dumadami po yung ating breakthrough infections ay dahil sa Delta. Hindi po dahil nag-wane yung immunity or hindi na gumagana yung vaccines, dahil po ito sa Delta. Pero nananatili po na mataas yung effectiveness ng lahat ng vaccines natin against severe disease, against hospitalization, and against death. So sa ngayon po, any vaccine is good because it will prevent you from dying.
This weekend, I was able to calculate the vaccine effectiveness in Davao because we wanted to see the vaccine effectiveness of the vaccines in the Philippines against Delta in a Filipino context. And it's difficult to do that in the NCR because there's so much mobility between the NCR and Region 3 and Region 4. But we were able to get the data from Davao and clinical effectiveness for all the mix. So we do not know which specific is currently at 86.5% and 97.5% against death. So it's very important to tell our kababayans that the current vaccines in the Philippines, this is from last month, so this is the August data, is still incredibly powerful at protecting Filipinos against the Delta variant.
Another batch of Pfizer vaccines arrived in the country last night. The 561,600 doses of the Pfizer jabs are donated by the United States through the COVAX facility. National Task Force Against COVID-19 Special Advisor Dr. Teodoro Herbosa welcomed the latest shipment together with other health experts and representatives from UNICEF, U.S. Embassy, and the USAID Philippines. With the volume of COVID-19 vaccine arrival in the country, Herbosa said senior medical and nursing students may soon sign up and become volunteer vaccinators. He said volunteers who will sign up as vaccinators may be given honoraria and transport allowances. Pfizer and its German partner BioNTech announced that they yielded positive results on their COVID-19 vaccine trial among children ages 5 to 11. The trial had a two-dose regimen of 10 micrograms administered 21 days apart. The trial shows a favorable safety profile and robust neutralizing antibody responses. Pfizer Chairman and CEO Albert Bourla said they are eager to extend the protection afforded by the vaccine to this younger population as they track the spread of the Delta variant and the substantial threat it poses to children. BioNTech's co-founder and CEO Ugur Sahin said trial data will be submitted to regulatory authorities for school-aged children before the start of the winter season. Still to come, 2 cities and 19 towns in Ilocos Sur are to be placed under enhanced community quarantine. And the DTI launches an e-comics making contest for artists in Cebu. Details ahead, keep it here on the PNA Newsroom. Beginning Wednesday, September 22nd, parts of Ilocos Sur province will be placed under enhanced community quarantine. More on this and other news from the provinces from Chris Mundo.
At least 2 cities and 19 towns of Ilocos Sur will be placed under enhanced community quarantine for 2 weeks starting September 22 due to the continuing surge of COVID-19 cases. From September 22 to October 6, the movement of residents in these local government units is strictly limited to emergency and medical purposes. Meanwhile, the remaining 13 municipalities will remain under general community quarantine with heightened restrictions until September 30. In Pangasinan, the municipality of San Jacinto has been placed under modified ECQ from September 20 to October 3 to curb the increasing COVID-19 cases. Pangasinan Provincial Interagency Task Force Chair Governor Amado Espino III granted the town's request to shift from GCQ with heightened restrictions to MECQ. Aside from the restrictions under MECQ, a no movement day will be implemented every Sunday to give way to the disinfection of public places in the town. As of September 18, San Jacinto recorded 199 recoveries out of the total 290 cases, with 78 active cases and 13 deaths. Meanwhile, 69% or 97 of the 141 hospital-admitted cases of COVID-19 from September 1 to 19 in Bacolod are reported to be unvaccinated. The Emergency Operations Center Task Force said more unvaccinated people are hospitalized than those who have been administered with COVID-19 jabs. Bacolod has logged 73 deaths during the same period, of which 62 were non-vaccinated, while the other 11 were vaccinated. In other news, the Davao City COVID-19 Task Force has passed a resolution requesting the Department of Health to roll out booster shots for healthcare workers in all of the city's hospitals. This came after various hospitals announced that their manpower has severely been depleted due to the challenges brought by the health crisis. Mayor Sara Duterte reiterated to the Davaoenos to observe minimum public health standards to help the frontline workers. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Chris Mundo.
Local government units in Central Visayas are now allowed to include children 12 to 17 years old in their master list for the COVID-19 vaccination rollout. The Department of Health, however, said the start of inoculation for children will depend on the timely cascading of the guidelines from the national government and the availability of vaccine supply. For his part, Vaccine Czar Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. assured that they are including these age groups in the expanded planning for making vaccines available to the pediatric population. Meanwhile, the Visayas Vaccination Operations Office has welcomed the idea of giving booster doses of COVID-19 vaccines. Vaccine expert panel member Dr. Ron Jean Solantes said in the September 11 Laging Handa public briefing that it could be beneficial for an individual to get a booster jab of the Sinovac vaccine. Malacanang is firm that the Philippines will not allow the International Criminal Court or ICC to conduct investigations on the country's internal affairs under its sovereign laws. Presidential spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque said the ICC investigators have no jurisdiction to probe the administration's anti-narcotics campaign. He said that the Philippines officially withdrew its membership on March 17, 2018 from the Rome Statute that created the ICC. Roque emphasized human rights victims and witnesses are not restricted from filing criminal charges against human rights violators in cooperation with the ICC. He noted that filing crimes against humanity should be widespread or systematic. Roque, however, cautioned that issuing warrants of arrest against alleged perpetrators of the drug war, including President Rodrigo Duterte, will take time, especially if there's no cooperation from the state. The Malolos-Clark segment, or Phase 2 of the North-South Commuter Railway, is now 32% complete and is on track to be completed in 2024. Transportation Undersecretary for Railways Timothy John Batan said the NSCR Phase 2 began construction this year. Once operational, the trip from Malolos, Bulacan to Clark, Pampanga is seen to cut down to 30 to 35 minutes from the previous 1.5 to 2 hour drive. The NSCR is composed of the PNR Clark Phase 1 that began construction in 2019, PNR Clark Phase 2, and PNR Calamba that is set to begin construction next year. The NSCR is expected to provide a total of 25,000 direct jobs. In recognition of the role of the youth in digital consumerism under the new normal, the Department of Trade and Industry in Cebu launched an e-comics contest for the young artists in the province. The contest is in line with the 2021 Consumer Welfare Month celebration in October that carries the theme Digital Consumers in the New Normal. The contest is open to all Cebu creatives 18 to 25 years old. Potential topics for the e-comics include consumer rights and responsibilities, sustainable consumption, e-commerce, consumer in the new normal, and deceptive sales act or practices. The entry must be illustrated and drawn by hand, and the graphics to be used must be original in public domain or used with permission from the original creator. Grand prize winners will receive 30,000 pesos worth of gift certificates and a certificate. The deadline for submissions of entries is on October 7 at 5 p.m. Up next, IP leaders hold a ritual condemning a left-leaning lawmaker for violations against the Manobo tribe. And the Embassy of South Korea welcomes aspiring scholars from the Philippines. We're back after a quick break. Stay with the PNA Newsroom.
Mga kabida, hindi pa rin po nawawala ang banta ng COVID-19. Kaya para masigurado natin ang inyong kaligtasan, hanapin po ang safety seal sticker sa kahit na anong lugar na inyong pupuntahan, mapamall man ito o kahit na anong establishmento. Ang safety seal po ay tanda ng isang establishmento ay sumusunod sa minimum public health standards ng gobyerno para maiwasan ang pagkalat ng COVID-19. Ating pong tatandaan, bida ang may disiplina. Kaya #SafetySeal para sa ligtas na pamilya at ligtas na bayan.
Mga kabida, hindi pa rin nawawala ang banta ng COVID-19. Upang masiguro ang kaligtasan ninyo at ng inyong pamilya, hanapin ang safety seal sticker sa inyong pupuntahan. Mapamall man ito, kainan, pasyalan o kahit anong business establishment. Ang safety seal ay tanda ng isang establishmento ay sumusunod sa minimum public health standards ng gobyerno para maiwasan ang pagkalat ng COVID-19. Ating tandaan, bida ang may disiplina. #SafetySeal para sa ligtas na pamilya, ligtas na bayan.
You're still watching the PNA Newsroom. The Presidential Communications Operations Office is planning to hold a virtual media conference patterned after the first National Information Convention, or NIC, held last 2018 in Davao City. PCOO Secretary Martin Andanar urged media practitioners to take part in the event, where the state of the information and communication technology in the country may be discussed. The PCOO chief said that it was through the NIC where the government was able to gather information on upgrading the capability of government media and public information officers. One of the results of the NIC was PCOO's decision to build the first Government Communications Academy. On February 19, 2018, PCOO launched the very first NIC in Davao City, which aimed to strengthen the partnership between public and private sector communicators. Leaders of Indigenous Peoples communities in Surigao del Sur held a ritual called Boni, a ceremony intended to impose penalties on erring tribe members. About 50 IP leaders wanted Bayan Muna Party List Representative Eufemia Kulyamat punished for the violation she committed against the Manobo tribe. They said Kulyamat misrepresented the tribe, showed lack of concern for IP youth and children, and slandered the National Commission on Indigenous Peoples by asking to slash its budget. Datu Rico Maca, the IP mandatory representative of San Miguel Town, also said that Culiamat has been siding with the Communist Party of the Philippines, the National Democratic Front, and the New People's Army. He added that she also tolerated the death of IP leaders and members at the hands of communist terrorist groups. He said Culiamat is no longer allowed to enter the ancestral domains of the Manobos in Surigao del Sur. The Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources in Central Visayas urged the public to dispose of face masks and other medical waste properly, as they may end up polluting seas, rivers, and forests. BFAR 7 posted the appeal on Saturday to mark the International Coastal Cleanup Day, celebrated every third week of September. The agency also conducted 8 coastal area cleanup activities in the region from September 13 to 17. Cleaners gathered more than 772 kilograms of garbage, including face masks, clinical gloves, food wrappers, glass bottles, diapers, worn-out garments, tin cans, and styrofoam. BFAR 7 also celebrated the 58th Fish Conservation Week, an annual event coinciding with the International Coastal Cleanup Day. The Technical Education and Skills Development Authority, or TESDA, will be training at least 20 inmates of the new Bilibid prison on urban farming and agripreneurship. TESDA has signed a partnership with the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Agrarian Reform, and the Bureau of Corrections last September 15 for the Bagong Buhay sa Gulay project. The Bucor has allotted 2.5 hectares of land that can be developed. TESDA Secretary Isidro La Peña said the agency has previously provided training for the inmates back in 2015. The initiative aims to help uplift the inmates' economic status and facilitate reintegration into their respective communities. Regional Training Center National Capital Region will also train Bucor employees in agricultural crops production for them to become certified trainers. Fellows of the Global Korea Scholarship Program from the Philippines have arrived safely in South Korea. The Embassy of the Republic of Korea in the Philippines commended the fellows for their efforts and dedication, as it emphasized the importance of education and youth empowerment. The embassy has invited more Filipinos to apply for the program despite the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. The Korean government opened 220 scholarship slots for bachelor and associate degrees for students under age 25 in good health and holder of a high school diploma or expected to graduate by February 28, 2022. The said scholarship will cover full tuition, return air ticket, allowances, health insurance, language training fee, degree completion grants, and allowance for Korean proficiency grants. Application for the 2022 GKS for undergraduate degrees is open until October 7 via the embassy's website. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. Investigation is currently underway on the alleged false positive COVID-19 results of the Philippine Red Cross. Health experts reiterate the effectiveness of COVID-19 vaccines regardless of their brand. Children aged 12 to 17 years old are now included in the master list for COVID-19 vaccination rollout in Central Visayas. And the search is on for aspiring youth comic artists in Cebu. As Filipinos, we all have a vital role to play in preventing the spread of COVID-19. So remember, wear your face masks and face shields, wash your hands often, practice safe physical distancing, go out only for essential reasons, and get vaccinated as soon as possible to protect ourselves, our families, and the community. Together, we can beat COVID-19. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. For more news content, check our webpage or log on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also, watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC 13. And as we go along, it is now 95 days to go before Christmas. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, we tell stories that inspire change. I am William Theo. Good day. Stay safe, everyone.